All right, good morning, everyone. It's a few minutes after 10 a.m. here on the West Coast. I'm Martin Gagel with Radius Research, and I'd like to thank Mark Binns, CEO and Director of Bigg Digital, BIGG, on the CSE. Mark, I think I met you 4+ years ago at the Kelowna conference when you were just with Bigg Digital Assets, and you were you're tracing and tracking, and everyone was still head scratching about what a Bitcoin was and what the hell was this. And I got to admit, I was a little skeptical at the time. All seemed a little dodgy. And so I'm glad you're here. Glad you're bigger and better. And thank you for joining us. So
my pleasure.
Yeah. So why don't we pass it off to you? Let's do a quick run through of the deck, and then we'll go through a few questions.
That sounds great. Well, thanks for having me here today, Martin. I'm excited to go through the story and update investors that are part of it, and maybe educate a few people that are new to the story, and then we can do, as you said, some Q&A. Bigg Digital Assets, tagline: compliance first crypto. And the reason we say compliance first crypto is we have two businesses that we own and operate that both make money tied to the regulatory and compliance side of crypto. The first one's called Blockchain Group, run by Lance Morgan. That business is a crypto forensics software company. We make software to track the movement of crypto through the blockchain. And I'll give you some use cases for that and customers as we go through that company. And the other one is Netcoins, run by Mitch Demeter. That's our crypto exchange, primarily focused right now on the Canadian market, and looking at being a leader in the regulation side of crypto trading in Canada. And we'll talk about what that means as we go through those businesses. As Martin, as you mentioned, we're BIGG on the CSE. And for any of our American friends, we trade on the OTCQX Best Market under BBKCF. The team is perfectly suited for this business. We have tremendous track records and experience. And I'm going to go through these people quickly because you were always investing in people ultimately that run a business. My background is all sales and marketing and helping companies grow revenue. And I'm going to show you our revenue curves near the end of the presentation, which are very exciting. Lance is a serial entrepreneur, actually the co-founder of Blockchain Intelligence Group and still running that business as a president. Kim Evans is our very experienced CFO. She has excellent cross-border experience. We're listed in Canada, the US, and Germany. So her experience is perfect for helping us grow our investor bases and take care of our shareholders on all sides of the border. And the last two guys are really interesting and valuable. Robert Whitaker actually comes from Homeland Security. He worked for the US government for 23 years as basically an agent dealing with crypto crime investigations. He actually led the teams that would do investigations, train them, and use products to help fight any crime that was tied to crypto. He now works with Lance in Blockchain Intelligence Group, building the products that we actually sell to law enforcement and giving us amazing connections to the US government because of his history there. Our number one client for Blockchain Intelligence Group is the US Secret Service. And if you were to ask us when we started up, or maybe when I met Martin 4 years ago, if you could have any reference customer in the world, who would you want? I would have said the US Secret Service, and we have them now as a client. So Robert is a tremendous leader in that organization. And then we have Mitch Demeter. He runs Netcoins, and he actually opened the world's first Bitcoin ATM in Vancouver back in 2013. He also opened one of the earliest exchanges in crypto called Bitcoiniacs, which he used to support his expanding Bitcoin ATM business. Sold both those businesses as a young man and essentially retired. I found him in 2017 sitting on a beach, and I said, come help me build Netcoins. Come help me build a leading crypto exchange in Canada. You have a perfect experience. And he got excited and joined the team. And has been doing a tremendously good job. So, we have absolutely the right people guiding this company and growing these businesses for shareholders. So I wanted to make sure we highlighted them. Blockchain Intelligence Group, crypto forensics software company. We're all about bringing security and accountability to the world of cryptocurrency. That's why we talked about sort of compliance first. We make two products, QLUE and BitRank. QLUE is the one I'm going to focus on. QLUE is used, again, to track the movement of crypto through the blockchain. It's primarily used by law enforcement worldwide. Use cases are many. Could be looking at money laundering involving crypto, could be theft of crypto itself, could be the use of crypto for weapons purchases, illicit drugs, you name it. Anything where fiat currency could be involved in crime, now it could be crypto. And police departments, law enforcement officers need tools. So we make this tool specifically to help them. Here's a picture of the user interface. You're not supposed to be able to read it, so don't worry about the details, but it shows the movement of crypto through the blockchain, from wallets to exchanges to maybe mixers, etc. And any crypto on the blockchain can be tracked with our software. In the Bitcoin example, if someone stole your Bitcoin, you could literally give the address to the police department and say it was stolen from this wallet. They could log into the software and then they could see where it went. And if it ended up at an exchange like Coinbase, they could issue a subpoena saying freeze the coins in that wallet, they're proceeds of crime, issue a warrant for the arrest of the wallet holder, and go to court. Our software has been used in court to do prosecutions all over the world. Our customers include Hong Kong Police Department, Singapore Police Department, European agencies, and Canadian agencies, obviously lots in the US government, as I mentioned. And we support the top 8 blockchains, being Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, etc. So it's a huge amount of data on the back end, designed to be very simple on the front end for law enforcement agents to track the movement of crypto.
Mark, sorry, if we could go back to that, since
Sure.
so you mentioned there are 8 cryptos that you track. Are the bad guys getting smarter, or are there certain ones that they've been structured that you can't track them, and so that's where all the nefarious stuff is going towards?
We see most of the activity still happens in Bitcoin. That's where most of the activity in crypto is happening. There's certainly smaller coins, and we'll continue to add more blockchains as they become more used in criminal activity. But right now, I would say the main coins that are traded the most globally are also the ones that are used the most globally. I think criminals think they can hide in larger pools. If you go into coins that have very limited number issued and small usage, it would stick out a lot more obviously if you were moving large amounts potentially.
All right.
The last thing I want to tell you guys about Blockchain Intelligence Group is the competitive market. So QLUE, as I mentioned, with 8 blockchains, there's 780 million data points in the Bitcoin blockchain alone inside of our software. There is more than 3 billion data points in our software on the back end for the blockchains that we support. It's a huge data product. It took us $15 to $20 million to build QLUE. It probably took 5 to 6 years of work from the early development stages. And because of that, there's huge barriers to entry. It'd be very hard for someone to start up and build a competing product. And what we see is in the world, there's only really 3 competitors out there: Chainalysis, Elliptic, and CipherTrace. And this market is growing at a very quick rate as crypto gets adopted into the mainstream, as people like PayPal adopt it for payments, as you hear about Visa and MasterCard coming into the space. Usage of crypto is going up, and therefore so is crime. Therefore, the need for these products will rise. But to give you an idea of valuations, Chainalysis recently raised $100 million at $1 billion valuation. And our product stands side by side with theirs if you ask prospective customers or customers. And Elliptic and CipherTrace are at very similar levels from a valuation point of view. So if we just look at QLUE and say, what is it worth? It could easily be worth 250 to 500 million as a product, just as the technology. Most of the valuations in this space are being given based on the tech and the future application of the technology. So if you look at the entire market cap of Bigg Digital Assets, we believe that QLUE alone could actually make up the market cap, which obviously shows a lot of room for growth in the market cap, because we haven't even talked about Netcoins yet. But that's where we sit in the space. It's very exciting, and it's growing quickly.
On with your competitors there, how are the rankings? Is Chainalysis the leader, or the biggest market share? Or?
Yeah, Chainalysis is the first player in the market and probably the leader by clients and by revenue. And then QLUE, CipherTrace, and Elliptic would all be probably at a similar level, just a bit behind Chainalysis. All of the companies are private except for QLUE. That's another thing that's really important for me to point out, actually, is that if you want to invest in this space, you can do it through Bigg Digital Assets, but we're the only one because the other 3 are private and they're not open for investment.
When I met you 4 years ago and you had this, like the markets evolved, the technology evolved. What are the biggest things besides adding different blockchains to it? Just the sophistication, or what new functionality has sort of arrived to it, and what do you hope to kind of add to it going forward?
Um, Certainly adding more blockchains. So I mean, 4 years ago, there was, I don't know, 1/10 as many coins, right? So as there's more coins and the explosion of Ethereum's ERC20 tokens have made it that we need to continue to add different coins and blockchains in case there is criminal activity being conducted through those. So you continue to add those. And then it's about adding detail. Attributions, we call them, knowing which wallets belong to which exchanges, because now there is probably 25 times more exchanges in the world than there was when we met. And for our software to be useful for a police officer, they need to be able to see that a coin went through a wallet address, and not that it's just a wallet address, but that we know that that wallet belongs to KuCoin or belongs to Bittrex or belongs to somewhere where you could actually direct them to go say, hey, we'd like you to freeze those coins or take some action as a police officer. So it's about a continual adding of data inside of the tool and making it really easy for our customers to understand what's going on, because our customers aren't crypto people, they're law enforcement agents. So we have to take a lot of data and visually represent it in a very easy and understandable way for them so they can do their job.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to jump into Netcoins. We can come back to more questions on that at the end, just to get through sort of the formal part of the presentation. Netcoins is our exchange, Canadian focused and Canadian based. There's between probably 15 and 20 crypto trading platforms in Canada right now, and all of them are unregulated currently. By that means there's no registrations with securities commissions, and it's been that way since inception. And we saw that in the early days and said, there's a huge opportunity here to take a leadership position and become regulated, or try to become regulated, because the market deserves a safe place where investors and both retail and institutional know they can put their money, and it's not going to end up in a scam like the Quadriga situation that we all probably know about, where $250 million were lost through a guy that may or may not have died in India, et cetera. But we saw that this is a need in the industry. So 2 years ago, in fact, it was October of 2018, I approached the CSA, the Canadian Securities Administrators, through the BC Securities Commission and said, we have the only exchange in the country that's owned by a public company. We're already audited, we're already transparent, we're already secure. We'd like to get a regulatory license just to get basically your stamp of approval. And they said, great, we'd like to do that too, but we don't have a license built for crypto. And we said, that's okay. We can work with you on a process. And we actually said we can also educate you on how Netcoins operates, how we do things like customer onboarding, how we do fair trade execution, anti-money laundering, custody, insurance, et cetera. And then we proceeded to hire 2 national law firms. Miller Thompson was one of the best crypto lawyers in the country, a guy named Derek Fall, and then BLG with great securities lawyers. And we started having meetings with the CSA, starting with the BC Securities Commission and moving across the country with the OSC, et cetera, showing them the platform, being part of their sandbox, and working together on both education, but then understanding what a license would look like in this space. Fast forward to 2 years later, September 29th, 2020, we submit a 488-page document to the BC Securities Commission and the CSA to get a restricted dealer license. So that was in the fall. And we believe we're very close to the final stages of receiving that license. It's been in review. We're, of course, answering questions. And we're hopeful that we're going to receive approval either in March, but we're getting close to the end of March here, or April, to move forward as a licensed participant, as we had started the process 2 years earlier. This is significant for some reasons, multiple reasons. We're going to get a lot of publicity. There's going to be free marketing. We're going to become a household name. Netcoins is already well known in Canada, but I think we're going to see this in the newspaper, on the national news. Everybody's waiting to see regulation come to the space. And then there's going to be a competitive reduction. I mentioned, there's 15 to 20 participants in Canada. There's also global firms operating here from outside of Canada. And the regulators will begin a process of essentially enforcement, right? They want the market to be controlled and they want it to just have regulated participants. So we believe there'll end up being a lot less participants in the market come 6-12 months from now as this unfolds. We also believe we're in an excellent position to get a ton of the corporate business, treasury buys, fund business that's happening in Canada once we're regulated, because we'll be one of the first regulated platforms in the country, if not first. All of this should translate to a significant rise in volume, significant rise in revenue. Our revenue model is very simple. We basically make 1% on every transaction. So as volumes rise, directly proportionally, so does revenue rise. The business is already growing tremendously. So here's some numbers from February. I would say before this that from January to February, both the revenue and the transactional volume grew by 2.5 times in a single month. And then into February, it grew again. Daily revenues grew by 55% month over month. This is just in 1 month. So you got to think about how fast that growth is going. Monthly active users up 41% month over month. Assets under custody, 69%. And verified users being added to the platform, another 40% growth in a single month. Trading volumes hit about 96 million in February. And as we publicly announced in our press release at the end of February, we did about 1.25 million in revenue on the platform in just February alone. So the growth is very quick. And here's the growth curve. You can look back a few quarters, steady growth into Q4 and Q1, which are projected numbers. That's why we have a star beside them, because we're going through audit and they'll be finalized and released formally. But this is what we're projecting right now. Just under $1 million in Q4 and a jump to $3.5 million in Q1. We originally had that number at $2.5 million, and then we saw how the business was growing in the early part of the quarter and increased it to 3, and then we increased it to 3.5. We're not going to adjust it anymore until actual numbers come out. But given the growth curve and the pending license, we think there'll be a very significant growth curve from here. But at the rate we're growing, it's very hard to peg it right now. So we're going to watch and see how Q2 starts developing before we put any more guidance out to the market. And finally, some news here, a couple of things that are noteworthy. We actually have a little over 300 Bitcoins in our treasury. We have been buying Bitcoin since 7,000 US a coin, and we use it for trade settlement. So when our customers buy Bitcoin from us, hundreds and thousands of times a day, we settle out of our own float and deliver those coins and then top back up usually on a daily basis. So as our business grows, so do our floats. And so we have Bitcoin to enable Netcoins growth, but we also very strongly believe in the future value and increased value of Bitcoin. So we've been holding it on the balance sheet for a couple of years now. And as you can imagine, going from 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 up to where we are now at 54, 55,000, 56,000 US a coin, it's been extremely good for the value of our treasury. We also have combined treasury of Bitcoin and cash somewhere in the vicinity of 37 million in the bank, and we operate as a cash flow positive business. Other things to note, we talked about the landmark securities registration here, and we have made recently a strategic investment in a DeFi startup called DeFi Ventures. It's a very seed small investment, but we believe that DeFi is part of the future and there's a great team there. So we've made a small investment in that space because we keep strong relationships in the space and we're keeping our eye on how it develops. And last slide before we go to Q&A, there's about 216 million common shares outstanding. Management still owns 10% of the business. We believe we're in the second inning of this baseball game. It's early days in crypto still, massive institutional involvement beginning. Tesla announced today you can buy a car, finally a Tesla car with Bitcoin, which is exciting. It just shows the way the market is evolving, and we're going to make sure we're there. Keep the market structured through Blockchain Intelligence Group, allow people to buy and sell the cryptos they want through Netcoins, and continue to grow our business both Canada and through Canada and internationally. And that's it. That's the quick version, so we can do the Q&A. But that's a rundown of Bigg Digital Assets for you, Martin.
All right. Well, that's great. Yeah, we have to wrap it up here. You've got a busy day. Obviously, in the news today, you guys announced a big bought deal, and I guess that is you need more float as your trading volumes go up to handle that. Could you explain a little bit of that use of proceeds?
Yeah, the whole idea is to continue to support the growth of Netcoins. You said it very well. As the business grows and trading volumes grow, we need to have more coins in our float for immediate settlement to customers. So it really just facilitates continued growth in that business. Crypto miners need crypto machines. Crypto brokerage businesses need crypto floats. So it's just a use of proceeds completely to support our growing business.
Can you tell us a little bit about, like, not individuals, but on your clients that are trading? Are these guys day traders? Are, like, how are they using your exchange? Are they using it for like payment solutions, or what is the sort of core functionality that your clients use it for?
The core functionality is definitely investing. So a lot of our clients, a high percentage of them will come in, they'll buy, and they're waiting for an increase in the value of whatever coin they bought. And some of them have shorter term horizons where they might sell after a month or 6 months. And then there's other guys that, will buy and wait, a year plus, maybe multiple years. But it's for investing, and everybody has their own horizon. Now, that said, there's tons of day traders as well. It's still investing, but it's on a much shorter timeline. So we have people that are buying and selling on a daily basis, in and out of Bitcoin, in and out of Litecoin, in and out of Ripple, just looking for trading on the movements, right, up and down, and repeatedly trying to make money on a daily basis. And we do have people that are buying crypto to move it all over the world, to family members that they want to send it to. We have people buying crypto to give to family members for future investment. They just say, put it in your safety deposit box and don't touch it for 5 years. We have parents buying it for kids for allowances, or tucking it away and for their future. But we have people sending money to Africa and different countries around the world, back to family, you name it. We even have people buying crypto for travel, not as much since COVID started, but before that, people would buy it, and they know there's a lot of countries in the world where it's actually quick and easy to buy stuff with crypto, where the local currencies have been devalued or are less valuable. So they'd rather walk around with some crypto in their virtual pocket, in their virtual wallet. So there's a lot of different use cases.
With your float, is all of your float in Bitcoin, or are you buying some Litecoins and that as well for your inventory float? Or does it all basically get converted to Bitcoin, and that's sort of the intermediary coin?
No, I mean, the majority of our float is in Bitcoin, because the majority of trading is still in Bitcoin. It's by far and away the largest traded by daily volume, both globally and on our exchange. But we do have floats and need floats for the other coins that we trade as well. So there's a mix, but Bitcoin is definitely the monster in the space still.
Are corporations using it on for a treasury basis, or any kind of payment purposes you're seeing, or is it all essentially retail investors?
No, definitely corporations for treasury. So it's not for payment. We're not seeing a lot of that yet, but we are seeing treasury buys. So the big ones that everyone's heard of probably are like Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. That was just for treasury. MicroStrategy is a real leader in this in the States, NASDAQ listed company that's been repeatedly raising and buying like $500 million at a time. You hear about companies like Square buying $50 million. But there's tons of small companies. We know of companies that are probably worth $1 million or $2 million that are buying, say, 50 or 100 grand worth of crypto, Bitcoin most commonly, just for the store of value. They believe it'll have more value to them in 2 years than owning Canadian or US fiat currency greenbacks. So you see it on a smaller corporate scale size as well, but there's absolutely treasury buying happening more and more and more in our economy right now.
Your tagline is safe, compliant crypto, or something of that manner. Obviously the regulatory environment is changing, probably not fast enough. You'll hopefully get licensed here shortly. Can you talk briefly about sort of where you see the regulatory environment, but both on a national and, because it's a global payment system or value system, to paint a bit of a picture of where you see that kind of the direction it's going?
I think ultimately the entire ecosystem will be regulated, just like the fiat currency system and the banking systems globally. I think in Canada there'll be a day where all crypto exchanges, crypto brokerages, anyone touching the crypto space will be regulated and licensed. Just like in the stock market, it's laughable to think that anyone would ever buy Apple stock through a non-registered broker, a non-regulated broker, or an exchange, a black market exchange. It doesn't happen. And there's good reasons. It allows, safety and protection of consumers and investors. So I believe the market in Canada will move towards being completely regulated. And I actually believe most of the world is going that way and following suit. The SEC is definitely looking at national regulatory frameworks in the States. You hear Janet Yellen talking about how there needs to be regulation. Therefore, slowly but surely, there will be more regulation. And a lot of different countries in the world, they're being proactive and moving towards a regulated environment as well. So I believe you're going to see over the years, generally the whole world will move towards a fairly regulated environment.
All right. In Canada, on the regulatory side, the big banks hold so much power and sway in these markets. How are they, do you see any actions from them? Are they trying to slow it down? Are they trying to catch up to get into it? Any insight on what the banks are doing or not doing in that space?
Yeah, great question. I mean, there's a split between the big banks and the small banks. Some of the smaller, more upstart institutions, credit unions are moving very much towards crypto. They see an opportunity in banking crypto companies, banking clients that want to trade crypto. And then you see the larger institutions, banks are generally moving slower. They're wary of it. They're concerned about how it impacts their business model. But I think they're also waking up to this industry saying it's inevitable. So it's, join them or get left behind. You're starting to see exchanges like Kraken become a bank. And in the States, you're seeing crypto specific banks like Signature Bank popping up. And the major banks are going to have to play in the space to compete, or they're going to start losing customers. I wrote an article recently about how the crypto bank is part of the future. And if you don't offer services in fiat and crypto, eventually you're going to look antiquated. You're going to look behind the times because crypto banks are popping up. They offer fiat services, but they're built on crypto services. So I really think you're going to see a shift in a movement, particularly in the larger banks over the next couple of years towards the space and embracing it, I guess you'd say. And already short term, you're definitely seeing the smaller, more upstart financial institutions, credit unions, payment processors already adopting crypto.
And we're a half an hour into this, so I appreciate your time. But just one final question. Do you see Bitcoin as a bit more, I view it as like a store of value, not so much a transactional, I'm going to buy my chocolate bar with a couple Satoshis or whatever.
Yeah.
Where do you see that? Am I on the right track with that? Or how do you see, or will there be a different crypto that'll be more the sort of buy my cup of coffee one?
It's a big industry debate, and the answer is not emerged yet, I guess you would say. I agree with you. Bitcoin really is the store of value cryptocurrency right now. I mean, treasury buys are happening not because corporations think they're going to buy anything with Bitcoin. They're buying it because they believe it's a store of value and a valuable asset that will increase in value. That's how I see it right now. In terms of payments, it's going to come down to adoption by large payment processors, right? So if MasterCard decides that they're going to back end payments with Bitcoin, then it might get used more that way. But if they decide there's something better and faster in terms of what they would support on the back end, then it could be a different coin. Bitcoin is certainly not fast in order for me to send it to you. It'll take time, but there's solutions being built on top of that. Things like Lightning Network that are designed to speed it up. But crypto is not yet widely used for payment. So we're going to have to wait and see how the industry evolves and which coins come out the winners.
All right, Mark, thank you very much for your time. Busy day, big day for you. So we really appreciate you making the time to talk with us. Thank you very much. Have a great day and all the best.
You too, Martin. Thanks for having me.
All right, cheers.
Okay, bye-bye.